Hey Tigers, I'm David Jones and I'm asking, what do you know about Veterans Day? So here I have Johnny who's going to give us his opinion on what he thinks about it.
Well, in my opinion, I think Veterans Day is about honoring all the men and women who served in the military.
And why did you join the armed forces?
Wanted to serve my country and do my duty, and I also liked the challenge.
Okay, all right. And what were your responsibilities in the force?
I was up in the Marine Safety Office, and I was helping with inspections of bridge, doing security perimeters, and also helping with anything that washed up on shore.
What was the hardest part in being in the Coast Guard?
One was being away from home, and also the fact that I was in predominantly a male situation, and I was the only female for most of the situations that I was in.
All right. And what rank did you reach?
I was a lieutenant, which is an 03.
Thank you very much, Ms. Malloy. What do you think Veterans Day is, Mary Lee?
I think it's a day to honor our troops that served in the military.
We're Tommy Murphy, and we're interviewing him for Veterans Day. So what was the hardest part about being away from home?
Probably being as young as I was at the time. I was 18 when I first went into the military, and being so young, being homesick was the hardest part about being away from home.
What were your responsibilities in the force?
My responsibility was I was a truck driver and a boat operator.
Veterans Day is to honor those who served in the military.
Veterans Day is to honor our troops and our fallen soldiers.
Hello, Tigers. I'm here with Mr. Maldonado, our Dean of Discipline, and he's going to talk about his experience in the armed forces. So what was the hardest part about being away from home?
Well, not being around your family and your friends was definitely an adjustment that I had to get used to.
And what caused you to join the armed forces, or what was your reason?
I met a recruiter at a job I had after school, and he talked to me about my future and what kinds of things I wanted to accomplish, and he showed me the benefits of the military and what it could do for me.
And where were you stationed during your time in the military?
I was stationed in Cecil Field, NAS Cecil Field, which is right outside of Jacksonville, which is now closed, but I spent the most of my time in Brunswick, Maine, NAS Brunswick.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
You're very welcome.
I think Veterans Day is about remembrance.
I'm here with Mr. Minotti, and we're interviewing him for Veterans Day. So what was the hardest part about being away from home?
Well, when I was first drafted, I was drafted into the military. I didn't volunteer.
Okay.
And it was during the Vietnam conflict in 1966. And I had to say the hardest part was I was drafted and inducted in October. So I missed Thanksgiving and Christmas, the first 2 times I'd ever been away from home. That had to be the hardest.
And where were you stationed during your time in the military?
Okay, basic training was at Fort Gordon, Georgia, and then my AI on-the-job training was at Fort Hood, Texas.
Okay.
And then basic training was 3 months. Fort Hood, Texas was about 14 months, and then the remainder of my time I had orders. They sent me to Vietnam. And I spent my last 8 or 9 months in Vietnam.
I think Veterans Day is to honor all of the fallen soldiers and everybody who's supporting our military today.
I'm here with Sergeant Gunter, and he was enlisted in the Air Force for 20 years. So what was the hardest part about being in the Air Force?
I would say that's probably being away from family and friends.
And why did you join the Air Force?
To seek out better opportunities than I had available to me at the time.
And what were your responsibilities?
I was computer security and logistics, which basically I move stuff.
Okay. And what rank did you reach?
I achieved the rank of Master Sergeant before retirement.
Okay. And where were you stationed during your time in the service?
That's a good one. I was overseas for 18 years. I was in England, Japan, Germany, Saudi Arabia. It goes on, but mostly I traveled every 2 to 3 years.
That's really good. So we have here Private Daniels. He's going to tell us what he thinks Veterans Day is.
Veterans Day is a good day for all the civilians to recognize what the service members give up every day.
Kayla McMahon here with Mr. Gregory, Superintendent of Operations for the Marion County Public Schools, and of course a proud veteran. Mr. Gregory, what branch of the military did you serve in, and for how long?
I was in part of the Air Force Air Force active duty, Air Force National Guard for 32 and a half years.
Wow, that's a long time. What rank did you uphold?
I was an E9, which is Chief Master Sergeant in the Air Force, which is essentially the top of the line for enlisted people.
Wow. Job responsibilities.
I was in security forces, started out in Minot, North Dakota as a 19-year-old guarding the Minuteman missile bases.
I think there's one person in America that haven't felt the effects of 9/11, and we were curious what kind of military work you did after 9/11.
After 9/11, I was there at the base in Jacksonville for a couple of months, and then the Air National Guard had a need for some people to come up to D.C. to handle various projects. So my commander at the time put a 5-person group together, including myself, and we went to D.C. and we worked on some special projects there for about 4 to 5 months, and they got ready to send us home, and they kept me. And so from that point, I worked over at Andrews Air Force Base and worked with the deployment, the training, the equipment issue, equipment needs for security forces that were leaving the States and going to either Iraq or Afghanistan. And so it was deployments, and I was 3 different times I was activated, and 2 of the times was there in the D.C. area, and the 3rd time was out at in Norfolk, Virginia.
What did your years of serving your country, what did it teach you?
Dedication, commitment, that it's about being part of a group that believes strongly, and keeping America the way it should be. And that people are willing to do whatever it takes to keep America safe, America strong, and protect this country. You know, I have a wife, several kids, and the fact that on 9/11, someone came into our country and killed well over 3,000 Americans in a cowardly way. You know, I just had issues at that, and at the time, you know, being a little over 50, if I could take the place of, say, someone that was much younger, serving the country, I'm getting a little emotional here, but to serve in someone else's place so that perhaps they could stay home, that they were young and they had a young family, and so, you know, essentially I'd lived over 50 years, so I was good. And, you know, if it meant that I went overseas, if I did this and something happened, well, so be it. But if I was able to take someone else's place to do that, I would. And today I would do it. So.
Well, that kind of answered my next question, but why are you proud to be a veteran?
Why? Again, it's the belief and the strength that we have as a nation. Yeah, we got problems within this nation, but we're Americans, and we can overcome. We're going to battle each other. We're going to, you know, handle issues that come forth. But, you know, when the times are tough, we all bond together, and 911 was a clear, you know, indication of that, of how a country can come together and stay strong and go out and meet the challenge.
Special thank you to all our veterans. We know it was hard to find time to be interviewed. We wanted to honor your service, and we consider you our heroes.